I got you.
You got this time?
Hello, people of the internet and beyond. My name is Jay Shawn.
My name is Nathan Ragland. You can call me Natty for now.
We are joined today by none other than Brian Zane, the owner and runner of the YouTube page Wrestling With Wregret. How are you doing today, Brian?
I'm doing good, guys. Thanks so much for having me. Now, is it true I'm like the first guest in the history of your show?
That's very true.
There's been nothing truer in the world than that.
Well, I'm proud to be your first guest, so thanks for having me, guys.
Well, we're proud that we can get someone that's so prominent in the YouTube wrestling community to be able to join us today.
Definitely. I'm excited. You know, when Natty told me, he kind of messaged me. I was like, hey, got some good news. And I was like, what's up? He was like, I got Brian Zane. He said he wants to work with us. And I kind of was like freaking out in like the wrestling world. I was marking out when he told me. I was like, we're going to work with Brian Zane. Holy crap.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, whenever I messaged you on that live stream, I didn't expect a response. So thank you more than anything.
Oh no, the pleasure's all mine, you know, and it's funny because people ask me all the time if I could be on their podcast and stuff, and I enjoy it, you know, it's fun, and it kind of breaks up the monotony of what I do normally. So usually I just spend all day sitting at this desk and working on my show. Yeah. Now I'm sitting at my desk talking to people, which is nice because I work from home and I don't really have much of a social life anymore. So,
well, to be fair, we don't have much of a social life either. We're talking about wrestling, for God's sakes.
We're college kids, you know. It's actually finals week. We're actually taking time from our finals week right now to do this. So that again.
Oh, man.
Well, you may be. I'm done with all my finals. How about we get right to the conversation? So the main reason why we got you here today, Brian, is because as YouTuber or as trying to be wrestling YouTubers ourselves, we wanted to get kind of zen from one of the people who seem to have mastered it, I would say, at this point.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, as people will know, you're very prominent in, like I said, the wrestling YouTube community. You know,
you did the Internet Darlings last year. Was it last year? Earlier this year?
It was this year.
Earlier this year, yeah.
Yeah.
The Internet Darlings, I saw that. A bunch of people that I actually I'm subscribed to on my personal page for YouTube, like What Culture,
Steven Larson,
Golden Raw. I love it. You guys are definitely people that I watch, and you guys give such a refreshing look on wrestling. It really makes me enjoy. Honestly, it makes me enjoy the product more when I have people like you guys who have your unique outlooks on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. You know, the thing is, the thing that's cool about that group of guys, you know, is like, you know, the YouTube wrestling people, the personalities like me or Steven Larson, like we're just, you know, regular guys. We don't have, you know, we don't have inside sources like Meltzer or anything. We're just people with opinions like everybody else. You know, what it comes down to ultimately is that, you know, over time we build up a relationship. The good ones at least develop a relationship with their fan base by reaching out to them and talking with them and just having open lines of communication. And that, I think, is one of the biggest keys to success for any, you know, online personality. If you're like an Instagram celebrity, if those still exist, if you want to be a YouTube personality, then I think that the key is to really, you know, communicate with your audience frequently, because it makes them feel heard, and it makes them feel like people are listening to them, and you're building that community. That's like really one of the core tenets of success of that kind of genre. So if anyone, you know, it's like, now there are some outliers. Like, I don't think Angry Video Game Nerd or Doug Walker ever respond to anybody's stuff. Like, they have millions of subscribers between them, so I don't think they need to worry about building a community. They already have a community. So, but you know, for the smaller ones like us, it is imperative, and I think it's really cool too, because you really get to interact with some pretty cool people the more you do it.
Yeah, I will say for the tiny ones like me and Jay here, we're just like looking to get any attention we can get.
Kind of just doing what we do on a week-to-week basis, and just hoping that somebody will just kind of come across us one day and be like, "Oh, who are these guys?" Hey,
yeah, that's how it was for me too. You know, I basically my strategy for the first couple of years of me doing this channel was every time I put out a video, I just spammed the hell out of my friends' social media accounts. I had like a list of people I would like copy paste, there's the link over and over again on different people's accounts, and they would watch it and they might share it occasionally, and it eventually, it was a very slow build. It took me 2 years to get 1,000 subscribers. That was a very lengthy trip, and then like literally within a month or two after hitting 1,000, it just like shot up and it's really snowballed. And that was due to a few different factors. One of which was I signed to a multi-channel network. The other one was, I think at the same time, I had a couple of popular videos like Cornette Gets It Wrong and my top 8 worst heel turns videos. So that was kind of like a perfect storm of events that finally allowed the channel to grow the way it did. But yeah, when you're starting out as a YouTube channel, you don't do it for money, but you do try and do it for exposure. You want people to see your work, and so that's like what I was doing. I was really pimping it out to everybody I could and let people know about it. And so you just keep doing it for a while. You keep plugging away, and you'll eventually strike oil. Is the goal, at least.
I think we're all trying to get to that at some point. By the way, for those watching the video, you can follow us at WhatDWrestling on Twitter.
At WH.
Always plug. Don't be ashamed about plugging stuff. I do it every video I do. So.
Very true. Trust me, we'll give you a chance at the end to plug everything as well.
There'll be a link in the description to our Twitter page. There will also be a link in our description to get to Brian's page. But honestly, if you're here watching this, you're probably from Brian's page.
Yeah. Brian, you talk a lot about the wrestling community and such, talking about how they're obviously the main source, the main audience that you're trying to appeal to and such. But how, like, you yourself were at that at one point. So how is it kind of looking at yourself now compared to where you were then, seeing just how much of an impact someone like you has on the industry, in a sense?
Well, I have no impact on the industry, I don't think so. But I mean, it is really humbling. Because like I said, I'm just a normal guy who happens to have a microphone and a camera, and I've just, been able to plug away for so long, people started listening. So I think it's really cool when people tell me that my videos and like What Culture's videos have gotten them like back into wrestling. Like they stopped watching for a long time, and then they watched my videos and they want to get back into it. So that was kind of their gateway to it. That to me is a really cool thing to hear. And it's always a trip when I go to, when I work a wrestling show, or when I've gone to WrestleCon the last couple of years on WrestleMania weekend, and I've had people like mark out to me, which is the craziest thing in the world. Because especially when I'm like, I've worked shows in California where I'm also sharing a booking. I'm sharing the card with guys like Brian Cage and Johnny Nitro and all these really cool names in wrestling, like today, or the past and the present, and people like Flip Gordon and Colt Cabana and Jack Swagger, and people come up to me and they tell me, I'm really excited to see you. Like that's the craziest thing to me. I as a commenter, as someone who does commentary on wrestling, I'm just one guy, and if people agree with me or not, that's fine. But it's when the fans do tell me that, like, I've helped impact them, or it's like I've helped them through their depression. Like that's the coolest thing to me, is like having some kind of positive impact on fans, not necessarily like on the business.
Yeah,
that's what's up. I feel you.
I can tell you right now, you have a positive impact on a lot of people. I know myself and Jay, we're included in that.
Definitely.
I know you personally were part of the reason why I helped get into wrestling, in a sense.
You mentioned how like people talk about that, like you helped them get back into wrestling. There was a time in which, honestly, probably about a year and a half ago, 2 years, I was really kind of like, I don't really want to watch wrestling anymore. I kind of do it because it's kind of become like a habit, and I kind of just do it. But I'm not really there. I'm not really into it. And then I started watching your videos. I really don't remember how your video started popping up, but it did. It was one of your top 8 videos, and like it just the way you kind of talked about wrestling in the past and how you just put your opinion with it, and it just it made me want to keep watching it. It made me excited for wrestling.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I think wrestling is my passion, and I try and exude that passion in every video I do. I don't do this because I hate wrestling. I love when people say, "Oh, you hate wrestling." It's like, yeah, I spent the last 4.5, 5 years making videos and like spending time away from my family because I hate wrestling. That's why I do it. And so I think anyone who dedicates themselves to anything, whether it's wrestling or if they want to be a YouTuber for like comic books or music or whatever, they all are passionate about the things they talk about. And if they happen to want to make fun of it, that's fine too, because they have to, it's like when you make fun of something, you also have kind of like a benchmark of what you think is good. And so, yeah, I think we wouldn't do what we do if we didn't like the thing we're making fun of, or commenting on. Because I think I've branched out over the years. I originally was kind of like, I'm just going to make fun of stuff and tell jokes, but now it's like I've expanded so much where I, do just straight commentary on like Raw and SmackDown on pay-per-views and things happening in the wrestling world. So I think it's really, the show has really helped me kind of it really helped hone my passion, so to speak. I wish I had more time to dedicate to like watching wrestling, like watching this outside of WWE, but that's not really available to me right now because of my other obligations in life, my other responsibilities. But yeah, I think, again, you have to be passionate to do something like this.
Well, the passion is usually what's the base for just about anything if you look, all around. So it's nice to see someone kind of take their passion and honestly like run with it and do something amazing with it, like yourself. One of the things I was curious about is you said you dedicate like so much time to this passion of yours. Like roughly how do you usually spend that time? I guess is the words I'm trying to like. Yeah.
Well, I do spend a lot of time. It's like like I said, I spend 90% of my day, my work day at least, sitting here in my office where I'm talking to you right now, and it's the same room where I shoot all my stuff, and it's I research, I write, I shoot, I edit, it's all pretty much a one-man band, except for like NXT Report, which is R. Felix Finch. I do pretty much all my own work. I don't have a crew with me. I don't have, a friend to help shoot and frame up shots. It's pretty much all me. So I've come to be able to do a lot of things solo, like lighting shots and, framing certain things. And like that's all from my years of experience in like television and video production before I pursued YouTube full time. But yeah, it's like I would say I spend about 50 to 60 hours a week doing this show. If you combine, the time I spend watching Raw and SmackDown and pay-per-views and stuff like that, it is very time-consuming, and it takes like every Thursday video. Like the Thursday ones are always like the ones I put all the work into. Those are the full-length, long-form reviews. I'd say I take about 4 to 5 days per video of that, because there's a day of writing. There's about an hour of shooting. That's the easy part, is just shooting everything, and that takes less than an hour. And then I edit it for at least a day or two. And I make it just so and make it look right. And if I have to work with somebody else on the outside and I have to wait for their material to come in, that makes it go a little longer sometimes. So yeah, it can be a lengthy process, but that's the work that you have to put in for something like this, because it's not just, when I was first starting this channel, all I saw were people like on webcams talking about like, well, here's why Raw and SmackDown suck. And I'm not targeting anyone specifically. I'm just saying that was all the landscape was at the time for wrestling. So, but meanwhile, I was looking around because I was a fan of like Doug Walker, the Nostalgia Critic, and I was a fan of Todd in the Shadows and Phaelus. And I'm like, I love this genre, this format of like angry, nerdy reviewer. Why is there nothing like this for wrestling? I saw one that was on blip.tv for like a bit, like the Masked Reviewer. I think this stuff's still on YouTube, but like I never really cared for his aesthetic. I didn't care for his format. Like he had the right idea. And like I think, well, I want to take this format and kind of apply it to wrestling and make it better and punch it up. And that's kind of why I came up with the whole channel to begin with, because I was looking for content like that. I didn't like what there was, if there was anything at all, and I decided, well, I'll do it because I can write and I can produce video, and I have a background in being in wrestling, so I have a different perspective than most other commenters. So. Yeah, that's kind of like what it all brought about.
Okay, yeah.
What was the question? I totally forgot.
Honestly, I like the question was just simply like, like I said, how do you spend that time? And you've definitely accentuated that and so much more. Trust me, like more than anything, this doesn't have to be anything overly formal. We're just having a nice conversation.
I'm enjoying this. It's a question that I was kind of. I'm really a big fan. Like I've watched your interview that I did. I think it was your most recent with Jack Swagger. You got to talk to him for a little bit. Mm-hmm. Who has been your favorite person that you've really gotten the chance to interview, and why? Why do you think they were your favorite interviewee?
Well, I have a couple favorites, honestly. I mean, getting to interview Jim Cornette in Louisville was a really cool experience. Like, definitely a bucket list moment to work with him on a couple of my videos. He showed up in my Vince Russo Will Change Your Life skit, and I flew to Louisville for that shot. That was like the most expensive one shot I ever did, was flying to Louisville and getting a hotel and going there to meet Jim Cornette and have him punch me in the neck. And then and it was just cool just to meet this legend and just kind of pick his brain a bit. And then other than that, I think one of my favorite interviews was Cody Rhodes. I interviewed him earlier this year, I believe, or late last year.
I think it was earlier this year.
It was early this year, yeah. And he is just like the coolest, nicest guy in the world. Like, every time I see him be a heel in like Ring of Honor New Japan, I always kind of like, that's not like what Cody's like. He's a nice boy. He's just a cool guy, and so I can't buy him as a heel because he's so cool and chill backstage. And then getting to interview Matt Hardy when he was like in full on broken mode last year. That, and broken Matt Hardy or woken Matt Hardy, he's in the news now. He's relevant again, or again, I should say. And so yeah, getting to interview him before he got signed back to the company, and when that was really taken off, that was definitely one of my, and just like being able to have that rapport with him, and like I had so many people ask me to ask him questions, like all these kayfabe breaking questions, and I realized no, you can't ask him like what gave you the idea to do this character, because he was in character. He was like he upheld kayfabe, so you had to kind of like match kayfabe with kayfabe. So I had to go, did you have any premonitions about this? Did you think your broken brilliance would resonate with the fans? So it's like it's about crafting it to him. So that was, and like seeing him yelling at me and going deletion and Meek Mahan, and my reactions to it were pretty funny looking back on it. So yeah, it's like just these experiences I've had getting to work with such amazing people, and not you've got your Colt Cabanas and your Jim Cornette and James Mitchells and Tyrus, all these different people I've been able to work with has been so cool. Like, one of my goals with this channel is I want to make it a place where wrestlers can come to my channel and do stuff that's a little out of character for them and have fun, kind of like an SNL thing where a serious actor can come on and do a funny shtick. I want that's kind of what I got with Tyrus, because he's a big intimidating guy, and to have him be this kind of deadpan reaction to and being mad at me and getting me to dance via satellite. That's kind of what I want to see more of. I want to do that with more wrestlers and stuff. And it's been a lot of fun working with these names. And I'm very, very honored. I feel very honored and humbled to do it.
Well, I kind of want to elaborate on that point just a little bit more. Not only with like interviews, but if you look at just like the whole of your work, you've done a lot of stuff in general. Like you said, you've gone to WrestleCon a couple of times to have people be excited for you.
WrestleMania weekend.
Yeah, WrestleMania weekend's always a big moment that I always look out for whenever I'm watching your channel. I know, like I said, this past year you did this whole entire collaboration with all these different YouTubers, with the Internet Darlings. Has there ever been a moment to where you just kind of stood back and you're like, wow, this is what I get to do with my life?
I do it every day. I honestly get to look back, and I'm very I don't ever want to think that okay, I've made it, because I haven't. I'm still just I'm still plugging away. I'm still paying my bills and everything. I just look back and I go, wow, I am very proud of all I've accomplished and what it's come from. Because if I can't even watch my early videos because the production is so bad on them compared to how I've improved now and how I've evolved with my equipment and my writing and everything and my presentation. So to come from that point where I can't even look back at my old videos anymore to doing this and getting paid to do it and it being my full-time job, and like we talked about, getting the chance to go to a lot of different places and meet a lot of cool people. I mean, this year alone, I was hired by a filmmaker in Boston. I was flown to Boston, and I had cameo role in a horror film.
I remember that. I remember that film. I remember the video you had about the film.
Yes, the behind the scenes. And so that was a really cool experience. And then, getting to go WrestleMania weekend. I was approached by Stevie Richards at WrestleCon this year. I was going around the convention just trying to get B-roll with my camera. And right before I start rolling one shot, I'm like right by the BWO's table, and he just walks right in front of my lens. So he's got this big face of Stevie Richards. And he looks at me kind of like stone-faced about it. I'm kind of nervous because I'm like, oh crap, is he going to like blast me for killing the business or whatever? And he goes, hey man, I like your channel. I'm like, oh wow, thank you. So that was really cool. And as we're talking, the one-man gang walks by me. It's, I like your stuff too, man. Like, what the hell? Like, what is this life? Like, I'm getting Stevie Richards and one-man gang popping for my work. Like, that was really cool. So it's just, again, I keep saying this, I'm just one man. I'm nothing special. Like, I'm not even the best manager in the world. I'm just like a guy who's, been lucky enough and been patient enough and worked hard enough to get to this point and have this like recognition. And yeah, it's really awesome. I mean, I don't take any of this for granted.
That's definitely a good way to look at it. Trust me, like I can tell you right now, me and Jay, we're not taking this for granted.
No, definitely not. You mentioned that you said you were like still plugging away, still going. Where are you kind of looking at things as far as like where you're going with your channel, with your line of work in the upcoming years, or even just for the upcoming year?
Yeah, that's a good question because, I mean, I never know what lies ahead for this channel. Like, every year, as time goes on, I'm always trying to evolve and grow and make this channel something bigger than it already is. Like, if you look at, when I started 4 years ago, if you told me, something as benign as I'd be doing Raw and SmackDown reviews, I wouldn't have believed you. But, like, as time's gone on, I've decided I can do that. And, if you told me I would do videos where I make things out of an old wrestling cookbook, I wouldn't have believed you. Every time I think I'm done, or every time I think I can't come up with new ideas, something usually comes to me. And it's usually either from my own mind or from the support or the influence of other friends. And so I'm always trying to grow and expand. Like, and I don't know what's the future's gonna hold. I'm trying to think more of like what we'll do in 2018 and beyond. I don't want to give anything away, but I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but a possible screenplay is in the works for a short film. I'm not going to go anything beyond that, but like, but that's, there's things that we want to do, things that I want to do that this channel now is allowing me to do. And I hope that we can keep growing and keep evolving and just, I don't know how much more I can grow and still be a one-man operation. That's the real tough thing. But it's, again, it's been great growing so far and looking back to see where I've come from and how far I've come. And the future, who knows what lies ahead, but I'm really excited for it.
That's really cool, man. That's really cool.
I do have one last question. I know, like you said, you're growing, you're evolving, but one of the things that I've always noticed when it comes to like that is not just the fact that you're growing, but YouTube seems to be changing around you and all this kind of stuff. Would you say that your growth has benefited thanks to, like, I'm trying to find a good way to word this question.
Well, I mean, I having to change some stuff because of YouTube. I've had to be more vigilant and more aware of what I do. Like, Who or Better really came from the fact that, like, I was going to be doing this full time. And I saw that things were changing in terms of like how money was made on YouTube, so I decided to make more content, and that was kind of an extra piece of content was the weekly Raw and SmackDown reviews. With YouTube, things are always changing, man. Like WrestleMania weekend was like the best of times and worst of times because that was like the weekend where everything went to hell for YouTube, and the first adpocalypse really happened, and there was a lot of nervousness, there was a lot of fear among the YouTube wrestling community, and there was a little bit of doubt for me as far as like, well, shoot, did I really put my, did I bet on the wrong horse? Did I like really take this leap and now I'm paying for it? Over time, I've been able to recover. I've learned how to diversify my income. I'm not just relying on ad revenue anymore. I'm also doing Patreon and sponsorships, and over time, things have gotten better. And now I hear about this new rumor of a new adpocalypse coming in the distance, but I don't know if I'm too concerned about that, and I don't want to get the details of that, but I'm not too worried about it because I'm learning how to not rely solely on ad revenue. But YouTube, that's the thing. YouTube is kind of a changing thing, man. So in 5 years, I don't know if I'll still be doing YouTube. I'd like to keep doing Wrestling with Regret, but I don't know if like it'll be on YouTube. But I'm confident it will still be a place that is somewhat safe for content creators, and it's like the good ones at least, and not like a place where you have to walk on eggshells and you have to like, you know, I don't know, like enclose your comment section and only talk about toys and things like that. You know, basically keep it as PG as humanly possible, or G-rated or whatever. I don't want it to be like that. I hope it's not like that in the future. But you know, it's just a matter of kind of keeping my eye on the trends and seeing where it goes.
Oh, we hope it's not like that either. Actually, I do have one last question. This will be the final one. Like, you know, you talk about what would you like to say to the community, to your community in general, just like when it comes to just your future in general, or just the future of what of just wrestling YouTube in general?
Well, I hope to see wrestling YouTube continue to grow, because I think the YouTube wrestling community is very big now, because you've got, you know, my channel and What Culture and Cultaholic, and you've got Wrestle Talk and Steven Larson and like so many other channels, so many good quality channels that really put their heart and soul into it. And I think the community responds in kind. And I want this to be like a good community where we can all work together. That was the whole basis of Internet Darlings, to be perfectly honest, because I want it to be a community where we can all kind of like work together and help each other out. I do want to see the community grow, and I want it to be a thing where it's like, it's cool to be a wrestling fan again. You know, sorry, my microphone was muted for a second.
Oh, okay. You had me scared for a moment there.
Yeah. But no, I want it to be a place where, you know, the community can grow, and more creators are confident enough to come out there and really throw their hand into it. Because, you know, it's not like you're trying to get a piece of the pie. It's not like the more people who come out, the less people will watch your stuff. You know, I think there's room for more creative personalities to come forth and really try and build an audience. There's still potential for that. So for those of you who are just kind of like bystanders and like to enjoy and digest the content, thank you so much for your support. And for those of you who want to try and like stake your claim in this landscape that is the YouTube wrestling community, there's still a space that's open, man. So so that's all I can really say. Is thanks for the support.
Well, I think we can also say the same thing to our 5 fans right now
at the moment. But hey, you know, like just like Brian said, it took him 2 years to get 1,000. Then after that, it just spiked. So you never know. This could be one of our turning points. This could help us get hundreds in the next 3 weeks.
You
never know. So I'm excited for the future. I'm excited for where we're gonna go. And with that, YouTube, we are going to say thank you to Brian Zane for stopping by, giving us the chance to really kind of pick his brain a little bit about YouTube, wrestling YouTube, being a wrestling commentator, and just his life as a YouTuber. Yes. So, Brian Zane, thank you again for your time.
We really appreciate you being able to talk with us. This is honestly just a little bit of a mini dream come true for us.
So. Definitely.
Oh, you flatter me. Can I plug my stuff before we wrap this up?
I'm sorry, what?
Can I plug my stuff?
Yes, definitely. Go ahead.
Let the people know.
Yes. Well, so yeah, Wrestling with Regret's on YouTube. Regret with a W at the beginning for alliterative purposes. At Facebook, the same name, Facebook.com/Wrestling with Regret. I'm on Twitter at ZManBrianZane. I have a Pro Wrestling Tees store. It's ProWrestlingTees.com/Wrestling with Regret. Patreon.com/Wrestling with Regret, where you throw down a couple bucks a month and you get some cool perks. You get your name in the credits of my videos. You help participate in determining what classic pay-per-views I get to review on like a bi-monthly basis. And a lot of other cool stuff is in that. So go to Patreon and check that out. And yeah, again, thank you all so much for your support, and thanks for having me on the show, guys.
Thank you.
No problem.
And hey, if you ever need just 2 random people to talk about random stuff in one of your Thursday videos, we are more than happy to be available for you, man.
just hit us up. You have Nathan on email and Skype and PlayStation, so
sure.
You can just hit him up.
I was going to say, you can follow me at Nathan_D Ragland. That's Ragland. You can follow What the Wrestling at
What D Wrestling, WHATDE Wrestling. And my personal, give me a second, I gotta get to it. I can never remember my own personal.
Like Mr. J or something like that?
Yeah, that's the name. Mr. MISTAH_J156 on Twitter. If you want to go follow me on there.
Make sure that you guys like, share, and subscribe these videos.
Thank you again.
Once again, Brian, thank you so much. We hope you have a wonderful day.
Thanks, you too.
Yes,
All
and
right,
we
man.
hope that everyone has a wonderful day as well.
See you guys.
Hasta luego, mi amigos.